For nearly a decade, the world has whispered about Caitriona Balfe and Sam Heughan. From the very first episode of Outlander, their chemistry was undeniable, raw, magnetic, and far too real for audiences to believe it was just acting. Fans called them soulmates, tabloids turned them into secret lovers, and the internet built an entire mythology around their connection. But through it all, Caitriona stayed silent. She smiled politely in interviews, dodged personal questions, and shifted conversations back to her work. Her silence became part of the mystery, and, unintentionally, part of the rumor itself. If she doesn't deny it, people would say, maybe it's true. Over the years, the rumors grew louder. Every look, every laugh, every shared glance between Caitriona and Sam was dissected frame by frame. When she married music producer Tony McGill in 2019, fans were shocked. Some refused to believe it, others insisted it was a cover. And when she gave birth to her first child 2 years later, the online theories only got wilder. Through it all, Caitriona remained graceful, but the silence began to weigh on her. This week, that silence finally ended. During a new interview promoting the upcoming season of Outlander, Caitriona faced a question she had managed to avoid for years. The interviewer, gentle but persistent, asked, "Do you ever get tired of people assuming you and Sam are more than friends?" For the first time, she didn't deflect. She took a deep breath, smiled softly, and said, "I think it's time people know the truth." The room went quiet. Caitriona's tone wasn't defensive, it was calm, reflective, the sound of someone ready to speak after holding her breath for too long. She went on, "There have been so many stories, so many assumptions, but the reality is far simpler. Sam is one of the most important people in my life, and that will never change. But what people imagine between us, that was never our truth." It was a statement years in the making. To those who have followed her journey, the words carried both relief and sadness. Relief, because the speculation had finally been addressed. Sadness, because it confirmed what some fans didn't want to believe, that their beloved on-screen love story was just that, on-screen. Still, there was no bitterness in her voice. In fact, Caitriona spoke of Sam with warmth and deep respect. "We've been through so much together," she said. "Filming something as emotional and intense as Outlander binds you in a way that's hard to describe. We trust each other completely. That's real, that's friendship." Her words painted a picture of something purer than scandal. Two professionals who found comfort in understanding one another through years of shared work, long days, and emotional scenes. But what struck fans most wasn't the content of her answer. It was the emotion behind it. Her eyes glistened as she admitted how painful the rumors had sometimes been. People forget that behind the characters are real people, real families. The stories can take a toll. I've read things that were cruel, and I've had to remind myself they weren't about me. They were about the fantasy people wanted to believe. There was something powerful in that honesty. For years, Caitriona had carried the burden of being seen as one half of a fantasy she didn't create. Now, at last, she was reclaiming her narrative. When asked if Sam knew she would finally address it, Caitriona smiled. "We talked about it," she admitted. "And he just said, say what feels right. People will always believe what they want." That small detail, Sam's quiet support, said everything about the nature of their bond. Even after years of endless speculation, their respect for one another remains untouched. As the interview clip spread across social media, fans reacted with mixed emotions. Some were heartbroken, others grateful that she finally spoke. But the overwhelming response was admiration. "She didn't owe us an explanation," one comment read, "but she gave us one anyway, with grace." And while the rumors might not disappear overnight, Caitriona Balfe's words marked a turning point. After years of whispers, she had finally said it herself. There were never any secrets, only friendship, loyalty, and mutual care. But as always in Hollywood, one confession only leads to another question. Because while Caitriona was finally clearing the air, many are now wondering, Did she reveal the full truth, or is there still more left unsaid? In the days following her interview, the internet was flooded with reactions. Some called it closure, others said it only deepened the mystery. But for Caitríona Balfe, the moment wasn't about satisfying curiosity, it was about peace. For the first time in years, she had spoken her truth out loud. And yet, in typical Caitríona fashion, her words carried layers, a quiet honesty wrapped in grace. Behind her calm demeanor was a woman who had endured years of speculation that often blurred the line between admiration and invasion. During another appearance later that week, she elaborated gently. I think people don't realize how much these stories affect you. When you spend 10 years beside someone, of course there's love and care. But love doesn't always mean what people think it does. That sentence, "Love doesn't always mean what people think it does," became the headline everywhere. For some, it was poetic. For others, it was proof that perhaps there was more between them after all. But Caitríona didn't rush to clarify further. She had said enough. Those who truly listened understood what she meant, that the bond between her and Sam wasn't about romance, but about loyalty, a friendship forged under pressure, tested by fame, and strengthened by trust. Few partnerships in Hollywood survive that long without fractures. Theirs not only survived but deepened. Sam, true to his nature, didn't make a public statement. But he did post something subtle on his Instagram story. A photo from the Outlander set with the caption, "Grateful for the journey. Grateful for the people." That single sentence was enough for fans to know exactly whom he meant. Behind the scenes, sources close to the cast described how much they rely on each other through grueling schedules and emotional scenes. One crew member said, "There's a real tenderness between them. Not romantic, it's more like family. They've seen each other through everything." For Caitríona, that bond became a lifeline during the most difficult moments of her life. The endless filming days, the online harassment, and the pressure of balancing fame with privacy. Sometimes, she said softly, "You need someone who just understands without you having to explain." Sam was that person. She admitted that part of the reason she avoided addressing the rumors earlier was because she didn't want to cheapen what they had by turning it into a headline. "I didn't want to defend something that didn't need defending," she explained. "People will believe what they want. What matters is that he knows how much he means to me." It was a delicate balance, wanting to protect her friendship while also protecting her family. Caitríona has often spoken about her husband's support and understanding, describing him as incredibly kind and grounded. Yet even that relationship wasn't immune to the noise surrounding her and Sam. There were moments, she confessed, when it was exhausting, constantly having to remind people that your real life isn't their fantasy. She smiled faintly before adding, "I suppose that's the price of doing your job too well." That self-awareness, the ability to laugh softly at her own situation, is part of what fans love about her. Even in vulnerability, she remains composed. By the end of her interviews, one thing became clear. Caitríona Balfe wasn't clearing the air out of frustration, but out of love. Love for her fans, for her co-star, and for the truth. She didn't want the rumors to define the story anymore. She wanted people to see the reality beneath the speculation. Two artists, bound by mutual respect, navigating the chaos of fame side by side. When asked what she hoped people would take away from her words, Caitríona paused for a long moment. Then she said, that friendship can be just as powerful as love, maybe even more. That line, quiet and sincere, became the emotional heartbeat of her confession. As the dust settled and the media moved on to the next headline, fans began to share their appreciation. One wrote, "I've shipped them for years, but now I see, it's not about romance. It's about connection." Another commented, "She handled it with more grace than anyone else ever could." In the end, Caitríona didn't reveal a scandal. She revealed humanity. After years of speculation, she didn't offer a denial or a confession. She offered perspective. The kind that only comes from someone who has lived through the noise and learned to value silence. And perhaps that's the real meaning behind her words. There were never secrets, only moments she chose to keep sacred. As one journalist beautifully summarized it afterward, Caitríona Balfe didn't clear the air to end the rumors. She cleared it to reclaim her truth, and to remind us that not every love story needs to be romantic to be real.